Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Nafees Learner Zone. So today we are going to learn about human respiratory system. So what is the system? What is its function? All those we are going to learn about that today. So human respiratory system is present in the thoracic cavity. So thoracic cavity, this is the thoracic cavity up to the chest. Then we have abdominal cavity. So in the thoracic cavity, this respiratory system present. So what does it composed of? So this is mainly enclosed into inside the rib cage. So you know the rib cage. So that is the bony structure. So in the rib cage, we have pair of lungs supported by a thin membrane below that is diaphragm. So there are two lungs above the diaphragm. There are two lungs, right lung and the left lung. So they are a bit different from each other. The right lung has three lobes: superior and the downside inferior and the middle. Superior, middle and the inferior. Three lobes are present in the right lung, whereas left lung has only two lobes, superior and inferior. Right, that's about the lungs. Those are the major organs of the respiratory system. Those lungs are connected by bronchi, a tube-like structure, small tubes. They both from the both lungs connect to a tube, just like the esophagus in the digestive system. Here we have trachea. So trachea is the tube-like structure from the lungs which connects the external part. So this trachea does not collapse because of the support of the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. There are many times the question has been asked in the board examination, why does the walls of the trachea does not collapse when there is no air filled in the lung trachea? So that is because it is supported by a cartilaginous ring around the trachea which prevents the collapse of the trachea. Then this trachea is connected to the pharynx, and the pharynx is externally connected with the nasal cavity. Okay, so what happens, the process inside? Let us look at that. So what happens in the respiratory system? The process of respiration starts from the nasal cavity. So the air rich in oxygen enters to the nasal cavity, then it passes through the pharynx and reaches to the trachea. Trachea is a tube-like structure through which the gas passes, and further it divides into bronchi, and bronchi, when it enters into the lungs, it extends to bronchioles. So that bronchioles are the tube-like structure present inside the lungs, ends up into alveoli. What is alveoli? Alveoli are the structural and functional unit of lungs. That is important, you must remember. So these alveoli are coiled, and it increases the surface area of the exchange of gases. There are lots of alveoli are present inside the lungs. The area is huge. If we spread the alveoli of the lung, it will cover half of the tennis court. So that's a huge surface area which helps in the exchange of gases inside the lungs. What gases? That we studied in breathing. What happened? So the oxygen what we have inhaled, as it reaches the alveoli chamber, there lot of blood capillaries are connected to the alveoli in which the oxygen should enter. So before that, what happens from the body? The waste generated in the form of carbon dioxide. That is one form. That carbon dioxide has been taken to the lungs through the blood vessels into the lungs. It joins to the alveoli. What happens? The carbon dioxide from the RBCs comes out of the capillaries into the alveoli. Whereas in return, the exchange, what happens is the oxygen which has entered in through the inhalation process into the alveoli gets into the RBCs, where deoxygenated blood gets converted to oxygenated blood. Right? So that's the process what happens inside the alveoli, in fact in the lungs. Right? So there carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the alveoli, and the oxygen from the alveoli diffuses into the blood vessels, capillaries. Right? So that thing happens in the alveoli chambers. Okay, that is the respiration. Then that oxygen which has been entered into the capillaries, how it is taken to the body and used for the breakdown of glucose, which we already learned, how it is taken, that process, that how does it transported, that we'll be learning in the transportation. So for now, the respiratory system is, that's it. That's the respiratory system. We will learn about how does the respiration takes place in plants and other organisms. One more important question from the part of respiration is, how does the respiration differs from terrestrial organism to aquatic organism? So we should understand this process. You know that already, you had studied in your previous classes that aquatic organism breathe through gills. They doesn't have lungs, they breathe through gills. And one more very important point is, they breathe in dissolved oxygen. You should remember this point. Aquatic organism breathe dissolved oxygen, and we as a terrestrial organism, we are whoever the terrestrial organism, terrestrial means the organism which are living on the land. So land organism or terrestrial organism, they have developed lungs, and through the lungs it breathes in atmospheric oxygen. So that's the major difference. Terrestrial organism breathe in atmospheric oxygen, and aquatic organism breathe in dissolved oxygen. So there you'll get a question that what is the advantage of terrestrial breathing in terrestrial organism over aquatic organism. So what happens is, there are two things. One is the atmospheric oxygen quantity is very high. The concentration of oxygen in atmosphere is higher than the concentration of dissolved oxygen into the water. Okay, that is the one benefit. There are a lot of oxygen available for terrestrial organism, whereas for aquatic the concentration will be less. Second thing, terrestrial organism has lungs which has large surface area, so it means it can breathe lot of oxygen, it can store lot of oxygen, lot of air into the lungs. Whereas dissolved oxygen, that is the aquatic organism, they doesn't have that capacity. So because of that, this aquatic organism need to breathe very fast, very faster, so that it supply the oxygen to the body to get energy. Whereas terrestrial organism doesn't need that much, as it can store a lot of oxygen into the lungs and it can exchange. So we breathe in, our breathing rate obviously might have studied in 7th or something. Breathing rate varies from 15 to 18 something. So 20 is the maximum when you run or something. Usually between 15 to 18 breathing rate will be. So that's the major difference between the aquatic organism and terrestrial organism. For more information, you should even refer to some respiratory organs of different organism. Like in cockroach, we have spiracles. Some organism breathe through skin, like frog. Frog can breathe through skin as well as it has lungs. So those things you have to refer. So these are the important part from respiration. Then the last thing is respiration in plants. How do respiration takes place in plants? So in respiration in plant, it's very simple for you to remember. You need not remember lot of process here, as there are no separate structure for respiration. Here only thing you should remember that each different part, how does the inhalation or exhalation takes place. So as there are no structure and there is no mechanism for the movement of that, so what happens, every part actually takes in air. So let's take part by part. What happens first, through leaves. You know that leaves has the small pores. What we had studied during nutrition, that how does the air enters there also. So what happens is, through the pores that is called as stomata, the oxygen enters. But not necessary that every time oxygen should enter from that, as you know that photosynthesis process takes place, as carbon dioxide is taken in and it prepares food. While preparing food, it liberates oxygen as the byproduct. That byproduct oxygen can be used for respiration process. Okay, only when that photosynthesis is not happening, in the sense, suppose if the sunlight is insufficient or in the night time, then plants take in oxygen for respiration. Remember this point. Lot of doubts my students over the year I have seen. Every time when I ask them, they keep saying that plants respire carbon dioxide. Plants breathing carbon dioxide. No, that is wrong. Plants take carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, what oxygen is liberated, that can be used for respiration. If that is not there, then plants also take in oxygen from the atmosphere, right? So night time they take that. That also a lot of views were there. The daytime it takes carbon dioxide, night time it takes oxygen. Yeah, it's somewhat true, but for what process we have to be clear. For respiration, it takes oxygen. So from the leaves, it takes through stomata. Okay, then when it comes to the stem, in stem we don't have stomata. So in stem, what happens as the stem becomes older, or stem also, it has a separate specialized cells called as lenticels. So lenticels helps in taking up oxygen, taking up air into lenticels. Okay, in the stem. Then what we have? We have root. So how does root takes? The surface, whole surface of the root can take in the air. Okay, especially the root hairs. Root contains root hairs, and root whole surface can take up air in inhalation. Okay, that's about the respiration plants as well as the respiration in all the organism. We'll end up here this video.